So in here, the UI has changed slightly since we built this demo environment. So ignore it slightly, but for the most part, everything stays. You can either go in and create a new analysis based on a data source, find a path, give it a name, hit create. Those run for a while, and depending on how much data is there, it might take a little while. So we're going to use one that's already been built. We're just going to use this test site one. So if you think about when this would happen, when we'd need to do an access review, often it would come on the heels of a ransomware event or an insider threat scenario. But it is also required in certain regulations that you go through and do these either on an annual or quarterly basis. And it becomes quite tedious. And I know I said this in the opening slides. Doing these annual reviews in spreadsheets without a lot of context requires a lot of clicking around to various systems to find all the data you need. And we want to make sure that you get this done as quick as possible and as accurately as possible. So you can see here, we have all users for this test site that have access, the groups that have access, who has direct access. So their email address has been specifically chosen to have access rather than them inheriting it by a group. The number of users that inherited via a group, we have 55 users that we haven't reviewed yet. The goal would obviously to get that to 0. And we currently have 0 external users, but those show up as well, which makes it very easy for us to ensure that things are, buttoned up. For example, we're working on a project right now with a graphic agency. We've shared a couple of folders with them. If we were to do an analysis on our own infrastructure, we would see that. And once that project is complete, we would definitely clean up that folder and move forward, right? So it's these types of things that really help make sure that our customers are able to clean up and keep their access tight. So situations like the insider risk scenario or ransomware don't continue to happen. So let's dive into all users. We can see what objects are accessible to them. So this one's got a fair amount. This one has a little bit. We got a bunch of test users. Seth Knox, he's busy again. So we're going to pick on him a little bit today again. So we can see that, he's got 568 sensitive objects that he can see. He's part of the group everyone. He's in department sales. So he has access to 568 sensitive pieces of data and a total of 676 in this SharePoint site. So that alone is concerning, and especially since I've already been doing some investigation on Seth, I know that we should probably look a little further. So I'm going to go ahead and flag this for further review. But just in case, I'm going to take a look here. This is the same exact interface that you saw earlier. You can see the alert here, the attributes. So if I go over to attributes, he's got access to the same high-level attributes that I had, and we can see in the activity log what all he's been working on, what he's looking at, the files, things like that. So we clearly have access to tons of information to be able to make contextual decisions on how to solve this problem. So if this was in production, I would likely go ahead and revoke access for Seth by coming up here and clicking revoke access. Given that this is a demo environment, and given that I don't know to what extent we have it integrated, I am not going to click that button and revoke access for my boss from working. I don't believe that would be the case though. But instead, I've gone ahead and marked this for further review. And then once it's, gone through by whoever's going to perform that further review, they can mark it as reviewed and export the CSV. But let's talk about users that really they should have access. It isn't a problem. And let's just assume test 10 is one of those users. I'm going to go ahead and check the box, make sure I uncheck Seth's box. So I'm checking the box for test 10, and I'm going to go ahead and mark that as reviewed. You can see down here that test 10 has been reviewed at this time by my user, and that will show up in that exported CSV as well. So as we loop through and we go through these, we can know very quickly who has been reviewed, who hasn't. We can filter it. We can filter by flagged or not flagged users, review status, reviewed or not reviewed, or even employment type. Are they contractors? Are they employees? And go ahead and work within that. So then once you get your access review completed, then it's very simple to export that and move on. The good news is if you end up having to do these annually, quarterly, you can just rerun the same access review cycle. You don't have to build it again. It'll pull the current analysis, and in theory, it should be a lot faster the more often these get run to go through and determine who should or should not have access. And then you can move on with your life. So while access reviews are a very manual process traditionally, we've made the process extremely simple and painless while remaining familiar to analysts, because sadly, most of this is usually done in spreadsheets. So we've tried to mimic that feel to keep it familiar. And then once again, if you've got an auditor in that in-house or knocking on your door, you can say, here we go, here's our audited data. Go ahead and use that for analysis.